that it gets cut off and it says 5 hot Asian something dot. And then it's like to find out the rest you gotta.
Yeah, I think it was that length because it had to fit a character.
What does getting in trouble over 5 hot Asian phones look like?
It looks like that's what it looks like.
They walked into the room.
It was we would pitch the headlines in a morning editorial meeting, right? And it's like, okay, so we're gonna pitch Molly's column as why Apple is the worst company on the planet or whatever, and then I'm like, and then we've got 5 hot Asian phones for the co-comparison, and like you hold on, you can't use that headline.
What?
Well, why not?
What had they not yet invented the single entendre yet?
Yes, exactly. And they're like, it's just, I mean, it's too, I can't remember how they put it, but they sort of implied without being too explicit that it was being sexist and sexy, and we can't have too much of the second or any of the first. I'm like, they're literally phones from Asia. The beginning line from James Kim, who's Asian, who wrote the story, is like, these are 5 phones from Asia that we think are great. So
yeah, also, if anything is sexist or possibly racist, it's their reaction.
Well, right, exactly. They went to sexist, not racist, right?
Yeah, which was kind of racist and or sexist.
Right,
them.
exactly.
So pick one or the other.
Anyway, I was like, look, they're Asian phones. The reason James wrote about them is because they're hot. Like, yes, there is another way to read this. That's the point of the exercise.
Yeah.
But I can explain this to a 5-year-old. If he asked his mommy, why is it called 5 hot Asian phones? I can say, because they're from Asia and they're really selling well.
I mean, I don't think I am too far out of school here. But like the video that just got posted, the thumbnail here.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely just a weird statue, but it was it was an accident when I cut this over, and I was like, well, I don't even know. That looks kind of cool, but also it looks kind of naughty out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever.
I thought it played really well in that portion of the video because you were saying something about like weird things happen.
Well, and it's the timing too, right? Because the weird statue shows up, and just as you're wondering, does he know? Then I say the words weird, and it's like, oh yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
That was shouts out to Jesse Wilkinson, who was a real sport. I said, come out to a convention for a podcast you don't listen to. And he said, sure. And then I was like, hey, I heard about this scam. I want to record a video of it. And he's like, sure. And so he was the one that leaned into that statue there.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you can't teach. That's just instinct, right?
It really was. And it was great because we just ran around stealing shots. It was awesome.
I think I know where the one with all the crystals, that was a beautiful shot. I think I've been there before. That looked really familiar.
Yeah, right. Well, and it was fun. I'd never assembled an episode like that chronologically in order. Because normally it's like you do a thing and then you refine it after the fact.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was like, this shot, it looks busy. Let's get it, frame it, shoot it. We have that sentence.
Now we have that.
Now let's go.
You had like a literal shot list that you just nailed. Yeah.
And then we went to breakfast. I was like, great. Now we're going to do it while we're doing breakfast.
Ah, that's cool. All right. Should we, do I need breakfast or should we just do the show without breakfast?
No, we should do the show. We should do a show, I guess.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to peek at the emails? We had
I did. Yes. I weeded a couple out, not because they were bad, but just because I know we're going to be a little long today.
Well, and I put them all in partly because we had so many first time writers.
Yeah.
I was very pleased about that.
That's good. All right. Well, I shall count us in, my friend. And let me do this just in case. Here we go. In 3, 2. Welcome to Cord Killers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff, Brian?
When you say it real fast like that, Tom, we sound a little bit greedy. I mean, do we have to watch what we want, when we want, and on whatever dang device we please?
Well, let's go through this backwards. Should I not be able to watch what I want?
Well,
what is this, a communist country where I'm not allowed to watch what I want?
Actually, hold on. Yeah, you're actually causing me to think of a case where it's like, well, sometimes you got to eat your vegetables, Tom. We should have a shared reality.
But I also want to watch what I want, so I should be allowed to. Maybe I should also be encouraged to watch vegetables as well. But you're not saying we shouldn't watch what we want to watch, right?
No, that's true. That's true.
And is there a limit on where I should be able to watch it?
Well, okay, that
in
part,
this day and age,
I
feel like I want to watch it in my backyard. You are not allowed to watch it in your backyard.
Yeah, you know what? I regret opening this line of questioning because I just realized like our show could be interpreted as watching TikTok in a crowded movie theater, and that would be bad. Hey man, I'm just trying to watch what I want when I want.
Welcome to Cord Killers, where we want you to watch what we want you to watch, where we want you to watch it. Whenever we want.
When we say.
Yeah. The new authoritarian flavored Cord Killers. All right, let's go to the supply run then. We have AI.
Supply run.
I want to go to Zurich someday because things seem to happen at the Zurich Film Festival, like Eline van der Velden discussing his new AI actress, Tilly Norwood, the first product from his talent studio, Xikoya. It's Xikoia. That is a spinoff from Van der Velden's production studio, Particle 6. And the actor announced on Facebook in July that it had appeared in a comedy sketch called AI Commissioner from Particle 6. Van der Velden said they would announce which agency will represent Tilly Norwood in the next few months. SAG-AFTRA has issued a statement condemning Tilly Norwood, saying, and I'm going to quote a bunch here, "Creativity is and should remain human-centered. Also, SAG-AFTRA is opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics." That sounds like right out of a sci-fi film. And I quote again, "To be clear, Tilly Norwood is not an actor. It's a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. It doesn't solve any problem. It creates the problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work, jeopardizing performer livelihoods and devaluing human artistry. It then reminded producers that the use of synthetic performers must comply with contractual obligations." In response, Van der Velden said Norwood is not a replacement for a human being, but a creative work, a piece of art. He added, "Just as animation, puppetry, or CGI opened fresh possibilities without taking away from live acting, AI offers another way to imagine and build stories. I'm an actor myself, and nothing, certainly not an AI character, can take away the craft or joy of human performance. But please hire Tilly Norwood, my AI actor."
Tom,
he didn't say the last part.
When I read this story, I thought, this is the stupidest press release I've ever seen.
Ah, yes.
I tried to watch the video of the AI commissioner and I quit halfway through.
You didn't get to Tilly Norwood then because she's not there till the very end.
Well, I could tell. They were holding her back. By the way, I assumed all of that. Oh, yeah. No, it said it was all AI at the beginning. And watching that little 2-minute sketch was so boring that it made me key in on one of the fundamental reasons that oh, by the way, spoiler alert, the only thing more disappointing than this press release was the predictable way that SAG just walked right in to their role as the idiot. And everyone annoyed me. First of all, did you feel just alone in a room watching that AI sketch?
Okay. That sketch is hilarious if you follow British television really closely.
Oh, really?
There are a lot of very raucous, hilarious jokes for insiders in the British television industry. I understood all of them. I found some of them funny, but the ones I didn't find funny, I'm like, but I bet if I worked for the BBC, I would just be cracking up right now. Like, that was meant for his tight circle of British television coworkers and friends. It was not a good thing to be the first thing that you or I experienced Tilly Norwood in.
Well, okay, let's start
Like,
with,
do you get, oh, you didn't even get to it. At the end, someone says, but can she cry on Graham Norton? And then they show a picture of her on the Graham Norton set crying.
yes. Okay, so first, let's go in reverse order with who I'm most annoyed with. I'm most annoyed with SAG for just so predictably being the Daffy Duck of this. Like, what an obvious tee up for rage bait, and what an obvious reaction. Maybe SAG is just doing the appropriate amount of signaling that they have to do for.
I imagine that's a big part of it,
actors.
is that the members of the union would be upset if they didn't put out this exact tone, right?
But it was
Because
so.
my thing that I think is fair for SAG-AFTRA is to say, like, hey, if you use Tilly Norwood, don't forget there's a union contract and you have to go through, dot your I's, cross your T's, and get approvals. Just, okay, thanks. But throwing out all the stuff about, copyright infringement, I don't even know what models Tilly Norwood was trained on. There certainly is a way in the SAG-AFTRA contract to have properly vetted this character and use it. And all SAG-AFTRA needs to do is remind people of that. But they obviously went beyond that because they know they have angry people in their union that will be mad if they don't express the proper amount of outrage.
Well, and plus also it's like the very nature of the reaction kind of lends too much credibility to the claims being made by the studio. I don't like the referring to her as a person or whatever. It's ridiculous. Plus, okay, this is, I was annoyed by fake characters before it was cool. Back when a little character named Hatsune Miku existed.
And still does, still touring.
And
by the
still
way.
does, and is beloved, and everybody uses for all kinds of different things. And yes, a wholly owned product of a corporation. Fine, yet another one of those. But this breathtaking, this breathless gasping as though this is important. I don't know.
I'm less upset with Vandervelden than I think you were. I watched the Tilly Norwood thing and I was fine with this clip until Tilly Norwood showed up and only said what was it? There was like one line that they, like, at first, the first appearance you just saw her and I'm like, okay, we're not going to let her speak. And then the second line was very short and very tinny sounding. I'm like, not terribly impressive. And the animation, it looks her teeth look a little weird. Not teeth look a little weird in the human sense, but like didn't look
because
right.
They were all AI characters.
No. The rest of the stuff were real people.
But no. It said at the beginning, every single thing you're seeing is AI generated.
Well, they have freaking what's his name Vandervelden in there.
Well, I believe it was I don't know.
I'm rewatching. The video you're about to view is 100% AI generated. No humans were harmed in the making of this production.
Yeah, 100% AI generated tells me that they
that they generated all the people too.
Yeah. Well, they certainly have the dead-eyed stare. And here's the thing: I don't want to fall for the trap. This is even now. I'm falling for the trap that I tell nobody else to fall for, which is talking as though the game is identifying AI versus not AI. That is a game of chasing artifacts, and that goalpost is just going to keep on moving up down the road. The really interesting thing is how long is it going to take humans to realize that all we care about is the connection to other humans? The moment I got bored with that comedy sketch was the moment I realized I was sitting alone in a room. It's the equivalent of putting on an Oculus Rift or whatever and gawking at a museum, and then all you want to do is share it with a human or talk about it with a human, and then you realize you're just standing alone. When that happens, you lose interest. And you could see this. I took an itty bitty peek at that Sora TikTok app where the one thing that happens is no matter what's on the screen, you instantly, your eye can't help. You immediately jump down, wanting to know one thing: what human wrote which prompt for this thing? And it's not even like it took effort to do it. Humans naturally gravitate to other humans. When we see an exceptional performance, it's because we are marveling at another human's ability. And if we're not watching an actual human doing it, we're marveling at the humans who created such an incredible simulacrum. Eventually, humans only want to know one thing: where the other humans at? And that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. I also think that having Tilly Norwood be the face of this it's an interesting play for attention that is working, right? You're having Van der Velden get written up twice by Variety, once for announcing it at the Zurich Film Festival and a second time when SAG-AFTRA condemned him. That's probably exactly how Van der Velden wanted this to play out. Tilly Norwood in a still image is a cute girl next door look. I don't know that this means much other than we now have the point in time where someone can say, the first virtual actor marketed was in September of 2025 by an unknown company called Particle 6. Of course, as we know, virtual actors went on to be standardized by Paramount, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Comcast in 2028. This probably won't end up being much than a footnote.
I think you're exactly right. I think that this studio correctly picked up on the fact that we are in time at the most pregnant moment to have this kind of boiling point discussion. And somebody has to cross that threshold in order to spark the exact discussion that we're having right now. And they correctly timed it. I don't think it's an indication of the quality or of any particularly powerful insight. But I'll say this, there's two interesting waves that are the wave that is not interesting to me is the outrage wave. I'm sort of annoyed with that. The wave I'm interested in is the face-saving wave in terms of the audience, because at first everyone says it's not possible. Then they say, well, it's not good. Then they say, I've always been for it. And that's that pivot into I've always been for it is what I'm interested in, especially as we don't mind virtual avatars. We don't mind puppeteers. We don't mind CG art, as long as they belong to someone, that nothing's being stolen and that there's a human somewhere in there on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to switch.
Actually, that's a really good point about CGI. When CGI graphics first showed up in movies, it was, that film's just full of CGI. Then it was, that film doesn't have very good CGI. Then it was the CGI well done or not? Right? And I think that's the end game, is not I'm for it, I'm against it, I was always for it. It's I am evaluating whether it was done well or not. And that's where we'll get with virtual characters. At some point, they'll be like, oh, the virtual actors in that one were really good. Oh, the virtual actors in that one were really bad. Well, I think what they're doing at Particle 6 or this talent agency is trying to jump ahead of the game with people who don't realize how far along the game is. So they want people to be outraged so that everyone's talking about it. And then the people who aren't outraged but also don't know what Sora and Vio are good at call him and go, wow, it seems like you're really far along with this. How can we work with you? Because I didn't see anything in Tilly that I couldn't do in Sora 2 or VO3, right?
Yes.
Like,
well, and that's why
any of us could go and do a prompt and make a Tilly Norwood. And I didn't listen to his entire pitch, so maybe I'm missing something, but I didn't hear anything that says, oh, but Particle 6 can now do this with a Tilly Norwood that you sitting at home with Sora 2 and VO3 could not.
And I do want to give credit for the timing of it. And the thing, here is the thing, legitimately, that Particle 6 can do that we cannot. And that is accept responsibility for what is done with the Tilly Norwood character. They have, it is the equivalent. Now, it's a cheap digital signature. It is a cheap authentication, because if somebody makes a bad movie with Tilly Norwood, they could just say, Poochie died on the way to his home planet and move on to another character. But there is at least some kind of perpetual responsibility in there.
I do like the idea, whether it's Particle 6 or somebody else, that at some point we get Hatsune Miku style attachment to particular implementations of virtual characters. And maybe that's actually what Van der Velden has latched onto and is trying to push, is actors are not about their talent. They're about their brand. There's a certain level of talent they have to have, and certain types of roles require certain talent. Certain audiences require a different level of talent, but you can make an actor who isn't the most talented into a huge superstar because you get a fandom around them. And he has cracked the code in one way where he's like, oh, to have a fandom, you have to have a personality. So let's pull a personality out of this. And you're not going to make movies where you just say, make all the characters look pretty and do this. You're going to want a personality that people go, ooh, I like seeing Tilly Norwood in things.
You know what? This is an interesting acknowledgement that I don't feel like gets talked a lot outside of insider Hollywood stuff. Really, every actor you love, everything you've seen, let's say after they've made it or gotten on the scene, really at some point, every actor becomes a team effort. Now, the job of the actor is to be the front man for the band, but absent the band, there's not a lot there. They can't do it all on their own. So all this is doing is, what if we were a band that didn't have a front man?
Yeah.
What if we were a band
and that's Hatsune Miku that you were talking about earlier, right?
Exactly, right? And it's like, but we, the team, take responsibility. Like we, Team Tilly, would never allow blank, blank, or blank. But the problem is we have yet, or at least I didn't see it in this announcement, to elaborate on what Team Tilly stands for and what they don't stand for. Truthfully, I believe that within a year or so, we will become passionate, just like we have bands that we like and don't like, and trust and don't trust, that go through changes, maybe changes in their front man, for example. But then we rally and we realize, oh, this is just a different phase of X band. I can see it's like, oh, canonically, Tilly lost her front tooth. And starting now, there'll be a chip there or whatever. And everybody will lament. And if they're smart, they'll enforce scarcity. Because I think that enforced scarcity is what we're headed towards.
Yeah. You want to build a fandom these days. We are in the economics of fandoms. If you want to win political office, you need a fandom. You want to be a successful shoe seller, you need a fandom, right? That's what happens. You're like, for every shoe we sell, we'll give one to people who need shoes. And then suddenly people are like, oh, I love that. I love this company. This is my shoe company. They speak to me. And that's, I think, what he's after here is, and like you said, we didn't see it in any of the articles we're seeing, but I would say if they're trying to make a talent agency sign Tilly Norwood, it's because they know we need a talent agency to do what talent agencies do and make actors sound bigger than life. You need a minimum level of competence. You need to be better than you or I are at acting to be a major actor. But then once you're over that level, if you're a really good actor, there are certain roles in certain audiences and certain type of movies you can make that others can't. But that doesn't mean you can't be a huge success and a star, because all of that is the team stuff you're talking about. Becoming a huge success and star is a mix of luck and fandom building. And did you have the team that could build the kind of promotion and storyline around you that makes people fall in love and want to follow you?
And I'll tell you what, if we're going very briefly, full galaxy brain here, eventually the job of any artist, we are increasingly going to not be so concerned with what they do, but the job of the artist, we won't care how they get there, but we're going to care that a human being takes responsibility for the art as it is. And I think we talked about this before, but like Steven Spielberg might never touch a camera, might not do a single bit of acting, maybe doesn't write a page. But when it says a Steven Spielberg movie, I know that there's one person whose taste I trust, who sat in that theater and from beginning to end said, yep, that's what I want. Put my name on it. We're done.
Yeah. I would argue, though, sometimes you just need to know there are people, but you don't want to know who they are.
But as long as it's a persistent set, because that's what a reputation is. That's what a brand means.
Exactly. And there are famous people who are entirely myth. Hatsune Miku is obviously where we've been going for like the epitomization of that, because it's a projected character.
Well,
but
and
but
that
there are
one's a little bit
humans
funny
where you
because-
actually don't want to know, their fans don't want to think of them as human. So this is ideal, where it's like, guess what? They're not. Like, they will not have any flaws. They'll have an amazing storyline. They will always be unattainable and above you. And that's what a lot of fans want.
Well, and specifically to the Hatsune Miku side of things, part of the appeal there is that it's a bit like looking in the mirror, because it's a reflection of your own fandom. Because Hatsune Miku started off as a Vocaloid voice pack and then eventually had a face to go with it. But everybody who's performing and writing or whatever, they're people who buy the pack and then make things out of it. And yes, the concerts are tightly controlled by the corporation that owns it. There's sort of seeing other parts of your own party inside of there, which it's fine if Tilly Norwood's not playing that game, but I do suspect that it's going to be important that persistent responsibility, just like ultimately, let's say the Pacers lose a game of basket weave. Then somebody
ripped
has
from
to
today's
accept
headlines.
responsibility for that.
Yeah, exactly. But also, you don't want your most favorite sports star to make mistakes. You don't want them to be human, right? You want them to be perfect all the time. Tilly Norwood can be just the right mix of perfect with just the right kind of flaws. So you're never disappointed in Tilly.
So Carl Winslow says, AI awards, I fear that path. I don't know, man. Like if there's competitive puppeteering, if there's competitive
there's CGI awards.
I don't mind that. Now I would say today is too early for that thought, because right now AI is synonymous with low effort. But that's because there's too little sample size. Eventually, like, imagine an award for the best collage art. And for example, a lot of people don't know that Salvador Dali, part of his photorealistic drawings, some of those, he straight up just cut pieces out of a magazine and stuck them in there. I do think that is real art, even though he didn't take that photograph. He just bought a magazine. He selected that piece of media.
He transformed
and his media art. Exactly. And I believe that if you create a whole bunch of stuff, like the Wall Street Journal generated one short, and I think it was the Wall Street Journal, but in order to do it, you had to generate dozens and dozens of bad clips and then weed out, like, okay, where is the story in here? Again, we get back to eventually it becomes a game of where's the human? What are they saying?
Yeah. Well, I can answer that.
Yes.
They're at patreon.com/cordkillers.
Okay, now I keep hearing about patreon.com
where the humans are.
/cordkillers. I hear that it's a way to eat chocolate. Is that true?
Yes, it is absolutely that. If you want to eat chocolate, all you have to do is go to the store, buy some chocolate, give at least $1 an episode to patreon.cordkillers, go home, sit down, eat the chocolate. It's that simple.
Yep. Not only will it not ruin the chocolate, it'll taste a little bit sweeter because you'll have.
Oh, yeah. If you skip that step of not supporting cord killers, that chocolate's going to taste like crap.
Yeah. Well, that's called guilt chocolate. Guilt chocolate is when you're a freeloader who gets our incredible insights for the fact that we predicted the cord cutting revolution. We rode the entire wave, and now we're still here. Who's here holding your hand long after the cords have all been slaughtered? Us. Keep us loud, live, and independent. Head on over to patreon.com/cordkillers. You get early access to the full experience. You get exclusive access to After Talk. And most of all, you'll be putting $1 in our pockets. Thanks.
Yeah. And then you can afford Guilt chocolate. That's Guilt with gold.
Oh, gilded. Guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. Guilt with a D. Guilt. Let's move on to the search party. Just as a little follow-up to our story from last week, Jimmy Kimmel, we mentioned that he was going back on the air to record a show. He did. And Tuesday, he had record viewership, bringing in 6 million viewers, even without about a quarter of the ABC affiliates airing that show. But by Friday, those affiliates, owned by Nexstar and Sinclair, we're also airing Jimmy Kimmel again. And guess what? Today, no one's talking about Jimmy Kimmel anymore.
Yeah. We did get one email saying that they didn't care for us talking about politics. I thought we did a pretty good job of not talking about the political side, but instead talking about the historical precedent for that moment. But look, man, sometimes the news has politics in it.
Yes. This was from Blaze, who said, I really enjoyed Court Killers and appreciate the work you put into keeping us up to date. But when Jimmy Kimmel's suspension came up, the conversation shifted into politics. I think only in the sense that there was politics in that story. But like Brian said, I didn't think we got political in talking about it, but I'm sure it's impossible for some people to not have political feelings when you feel a certain way about the story. So I get that. All I could say is we promise not to wantonly include those kinds of stories, but when we're talking about TV shows and movies and a big TV show goes off the air and there's an affiliate fight, and that's the kind of thing we talk about all the time, I think it would be just as bad if we pretended like it didn't happen. So we will do our best. Rick Moranis is coming back into acting. He has not acted in decades, but has agreed to appear in Spaceballs 2 as Lord Darkhelmet, the same role he had in the 1987 Spaceballs 1. He's not the only one. Bill Pullman will come back as Lone Star. Mel Brooks, of course, as Yogurt.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Daphne Zuniga as Princess Vespa. George Weiner as Colonel Sanders. Then there's some new folks. Josh Gad will be joining the cast. Keke Palmer, Lewis Pullman, and Anthony Kerrigan. Spaceballs 2 scheduled to come to theaters in 2027.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, Carl Winslow says, Carl Winslow. I'm now getting what his screen name is. I miss you, Barf. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yes, not everyone. Well, and hopefully Yogurt makes it.
I was about to say, we had previously talked about the fact that they preemptively said, look, if Mel Brooks passes away, I want you to know that AI Mel Brooks is 100% authorized by the currently living Mel Brooks.
There's a trailer out for Avatar Fire and Ash, the third film in the Avatar series, set to release December 19th. Did you watch it?
Man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to be in that movie theater and then watch the screen go half as bright when I put on glasses. It's like Pavlovian. I just can't
That's what
wait
makes a movie. Mm-hmm. Roku is going to reunite the cast of Laguna Beach, The Real Orange County, to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the show's premiere with Roku Presents The Laguna Beach Reunion. That'll be coming sometime next year, 2026. But the original cast of the series, Lauren Conrad, Stephen Coletti, Kristen Cavallari, will all be there. If you don't know the show, it debuted on MTV in 2006.
Yeah, look, I'm going to need you to make it so 20 years has not passed, because that's a big number.
I just know, as MC Lars said, Laguna Beach is fake and whack. After a pivotal episode 6 of HBO Max's Peacemaker bridged the series to the next Superman movie, Man of Tomorrow, everybody thought, okay, so basically there's not going to be a season 3 of Peacemaker. And James Gunn told Deadline, you're going to find out more in episode 8, because it's not necessarily that. Some of these characters will continue, but also it's not exactly Peacemaker 3. I'm not ruling it out. You'll see episode 8. Maybe you'll find out a little more.
Ooh, that's the way you talk when you want to get Brian Brushwood to watch season 2 of Peacemaker.
Likewise, for me too, right? Speaking of Superman, Warner says it got 13 million views in its first 10 days on HBO Max. That marks the platform's biggest 10-day audience for a movie debut since Barbie in 2023.
Yeah, that's big.
Barbie streaming, not Barbie in the theaters. You'll be able to watch more YouTube on a Delta flight. Delta rolling out a new onboard experience for passengers that will let you view curated YouTube content as well as YouTube Premium and YouTube Music content on the in-flight entertainment system. That's the screen in the seat back. Not all the planes have that. But long haul ones like, LA to New York or overseas flights do. So you'll be able to watch some YouTube stuff without having to use your Wi-Fi. That started September 25th, but you'll also be able to stream YouTube over Wi-Fi, which actually you've been able to do on a lot of Delta flights for a while now.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is genuine. So it used to be that certain video sites would be blocked over bandwidth concerns because you didn't want the entire plane taking up all the bandwidth. But the curated, I'm always fascinated in those moments with curation, with what does and doesn't make the cut.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that YouTube is pretty Wild Westy, and you might have some content where, because you're kind of watching in front of everyone else, I would imagine that they're curated not so much for like language content, so much as just booty shaking visuals, that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm sure that's part of it. I always immediately assume the curated means what does Delta's data show people are most likely to enjoy on a Delta flight? Do you have content that falls into those buckets? Also, how much do you have to pay those creators to license their stuff for the Delta flight? And are the cheaper ones that fall in those buckets? Is there a Venn diagram of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised. I mean, part of the YouTube experience is the jumping around and selecting stuff. So I would imagine that the curation would be in like these channels, not these. I don't know.
I would assume the curation is very strict of like, we've got Michael the librarian, and also Blippy, and also, like really well-known massive channels that
you know
people
what's
are
wild?
likely to.
So if I was younger, or when I was younger. As a matter of fact, no. In real life, I remember finding out that Revision 3 content was on, I think it was JetBlue or something, and I was just giddy. I was like, all I wanted to do is see Scam School on JetBlue. So I'd imagine that's what that's where the curation is because otherwise you would upload your own video that you would just watch your friends and stuff, and that's where you get Wild Westy.
Yeah, but you can still do that on your own device too. This is just the seatback stuff that is coming off the server.
Like on the TV in the back of the, official looking.
Speaking of YouTube, JTVFX has spent well over 2 years creating a full account of the Battle of Wolf 359 from Star Trek. There are now the last of 6 episodes that use original footage from Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek The Next Generation. Also video filmed for the CD-ROM video game Star Trek Borg, not bored. It's not boring. It's the opposite of boring. As well as some original CGI. People are going crazy for this, Brian.
Could you give me a little bit? Well, pretend
it's like a History Channel version of Wolf 359.
Got it. So it's a different take on fan-generated in-universe content.
Take out the confessional interview with the historian part and just turn it into one of those documentaries that tells the tale through found footage and stuff.
I want to believe it's like a Ken Burns thing where you got some fiddle music. It's like, my dearest Jean-Luc.
Our final shield has dropped. We don't have long.
Lo, it is cold in space, and there are many Klingons afoot.
Tubi is going to stream a free NFL game that's not the Super Bowl on Thanksgiving Day. That's towards the end of November. The Green Bay Packers versus Detroit Lions game, which kicks off Thursday, November 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern, will not only be on Fox on your broadcast channel, it will not only be on the Fox Sports app, it will not only be on Fox One, the subscription service that you can stream all the Fox content from, it'll be on free ad-supported Tubi, featuring local advertising from your local Fox station. Tubi did live stream the Super Bowl, which was broadcast on Fox earlier this year, but this is the first time it'll broadcast a regular season game.
Who do you think would have been the holdout or the person to break to allow this to happen? Would it be Fox that would be protective about the specialness of it? Or?
This is Fox's decision. Fox has the rights to this game. Fox decides which of their platforms it can go on. I don't think the NFL is trying to block streaming. I don't think it has been for a long time. There may be an increased revenue share involved with the NFL that was likely baked into the contract early on. So yeah, I think this is all Fox saying, you know what, we want to boost Tubi. We want to get people to understand that Tubi exists and also make more money. Because if we have more eyeballs watching on Tubi, and we're pretty good at selling ads on Tubi and monetizing Tubi content, then Tubi makes more money.
Oh, this is interesting because you bring up a little bit of gamesmanship theory that I don't think I had really thought about before. So it's like so for example, when cable TV got deregulated, all of the broadcast networks were very slow to join. That's the reason CNBC, by the time cable NBC showed up, it wasn't able to find purchase because it had already been outmaneuvered by CNN and by early movers like HBO and so on. And eventually it had to find the niche of business news out there. So likewise, in the fast channels or Tubi is a fast channel, right?
Tubi is a free ad-supported streaming channel. Yes.
So in general, then all of a sudden it becomes like if Fox isn't going to be a fast channel, because that would be a degradation of the Fox brand, it would behoove them to have a foot and to pick which fast channel should be thriving. So you want them fighting amongst each other. So you would make sure that, I don't know, Roku gets... I don't know, one gets, you want to strengthen your position as not even being in that game by allowing content.
Yeah, I think, I really think it's pretty as simple that Fox looks at Tubi and goes, oh, there's a bunch of people watch Tubi every day that don't watch any of our other services. Let's stick this football game in front of them on Thanksgiving when more people are likely to watch a football game than on a regular day, and make it easy for them to watch it. Peacock is doubling down on BravoCon. I didn't know BravoCon existed. Did you, Brian?
No, what is BravoCon?
It is a conference in Las Vegas at the Caesars Forum for fans of Bravo TV's content. You know,
Both
Bravo, the one part they didn't spin off to Versant because they have really cheap reality content that's incredibly popular. There's a conference for fans of Bravo. You can meet Real Housewives. Andy Cohen shows up and does his show live, and you can stream it if you can't get to Las Vegas on Peacock, November 14th through the 16th, featuring appearances from more than 150 Bravo celebrities, according to Variety.
I made a joke like a jerk, acting like, you know, there would only be 2 people at this convention. But how big do you think this conference actually is?
I mean, it's at the Caesars Forum, so 10,000.
That's big. That's a lot.
Yeah. And this implies they're like, we streamed a little bit of this last year and people ate it up. There are more people who want to see what happens at BravoCon than will pay for the plane ticket and hotel room to go to BravoCon. So let's Coachella this stuff. let's make it as easy for people who want to watch this. K-pop Demon Hunters had its 15th straight week at the top of Netflix's top 10. That makes it the longest running title ever on the English language film chart for Netflix, beating Red Notice, which had 14 weeks, but not consecutively, 12 consecutively. And then it dropped and then it came back for a couple of weeks.
That's huge. I'm getting very close to watching it now, Tom.
This is what happens, right? Like the self-perpetuating popularity starts to be like, well, if it's been there 15 straight weeks, maybe I need to see what this is all about.
This is one of those things that we talked about in that class that I do, where it's like that social proof is enough to get you on the map. But at some point, if it's good and getting noticed, at what point is it a fraud?
I want to watch it with you if you ever watch it somehow.
Okay.
I don't know how. Yeah. And then finally, Reading Rainbow coming back with Michael Threets as the host. He is Michael the Librarian on YouTube, and they are going to deliver it on YouTube. It will feature guest narrators. The trailer shows John Legend, Chrissy Teigen, Adam Devine, starting with new episodes October 25th, dropping weekly.
Man, I wish I knew more about the Michael Librarian.
He's a Bay Area librarian. He has a really popular YouTube channel, and he is the kind of guy that would do Reading Rainbow if it didn't already exist. You know, you just get that feeling like he loves and he's enthusiastic about reading and teaching people about books. And I'm guessing
he's
LeVar Burton,
handsome and cool.
I mean, he's definitely cool. LeVar Burton's going to show up.
I was like, I don't like it already.
Yeah, because he's cool. Yeah. Well, then let's hurry on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Buried Treasure is the section of the show where we talk about something we've been watching that you might want to add to your to-watch list. Brian, you've been watching Charlie Sheen?
Yeah, dude.
Like at his house? Or
Yes. That AKA Charlie Sheen documentary that is on the front page of Netflix, two-parter. It went some places. It was part drive-by gawking at, I don't know, the crazy career of Charlie Sheen.
Sure.
There are some surprises, though. There's kind of a moment when he talks about, gay sex and stuff, and heard some stuff I hadn't heard before. It was interesting. I couldn't help but tip into the meta of it, where I was wondering, like, he's on it, and I assume he's involved in the production of it or whatever. So these are all stories that he wants to talk about. And there's a little bit, if you want to read between the lines, about who chose to not participate, or like a lot of these. I don't feel like it's the entirety of the story, but it's more than we had before.
And he participated.
Yes. Oh, yes. No, he's definitely all over that.
Which is kind of to me, it's like who else participated fleshes it out and makes it more interesting. But if you have the actual subject involved, it can go one of two ways. It can either be sort of like, oh, well, because they were participating, they kept the story from being told. Sounds like that's not what happened in this case.
Yeah, no. If anything, I mean, there's definitely a sexually explicit description of the first time he did crack cocaine, and it was apparently quite a moment.
And then you're still watching Adolescence?
Yeah. Yep. Still on the fence on that one.
Okay. All right.
So I'm waiting for it to become that Emmy Award winning phenomenon that I hear about.
We'll keep checking in on that. Do you remember me talking about Bon Appetit, Your Majesty on Netflix?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we were like, sounds kind of like Mr. Queen, which was a previous Netflix show about a chef traveling back in time to Joseon era Korea. Totally different. This was all about the food. There wasn't a gender swap either. Mr. Queen was about a chef, a guy, kind of bravo machismo chef guy getting put in a woman's body in Joseon era. This is just an award-winning French-trained chef getting sent back to Joseon era and then trying to get people to eat her food because they don't understand all these French traditions and French way of cooking, and then getting them to eat it and love it. There's obviously a love story and a time travel part of this as well, but I almost feel like this might be one for you to watch at some point.
Really?
Because it's good all the way up to the end. There's a thing that Korean dramas do sometimes where they like kind of wrap it up early in the last episode and then spend a lot of time with the characters you love having a good time, which I enjoy, but I know not everyone does. This one is like, no, we're going to limit that to like the very, very end, and they're going to be stakes, and they're going to be people die, and you're going to be surprised by some of the people who die. I was like, oh wow, this is starting to feel like something Brian might even be like, oh, okay, that's a decent storyline there. And the whole thing where she's trying to navigate like the cooking side of things and get respect as a woman chef in a time when they're like, women can't cook. That's not allowed. Like they play with that really in an interesting way. It's a good one. I really like this one.
Wow, right on. All right, and I could see it on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's available with a dub. I don't know if that changes things. Sometimes it does. I watched it with subtitles, but yeah, I think it's worth checking out. The one downside I'll say is it is the longer episodes, Korean drama, which can be a lot sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish sometimes they'd break those hour-and-a-half episodes into two, but it's only 16 episodes. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian? What would you like to tell me? I know you've got something to tell me.
I ain't selling nothing this time. In
No?
fact, I'm just going to tell everyone to watch. I'm really pleased with the new episode on Modern Rogue. Or I guess I don't even know if it's an episode. Is it
the one I watched earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, right? There is basically somebody called and told me about a scam that was pulled at a hotel, and it involved a blind spot. And I'm withholding this because that's sort of the point of the story, is that there's kind of a cultural blind spot that if I told you this scam 20 years ago, it would not impress you at all. But instead, because of the way the world be like today, I definitely was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. That's brilliant. And so I wanted to tell that story, but I didn't know, what do you do? Turn on a camera and say, hey, I heard this, the end. I wanted it to kind of reek of effort. So while I was out in Las Vegas, I put on a whole suit and I walked around with Jesse Wilkinson, and we just stole all of the shots. We made sure that I didn't spend more than 15, 20 seconds in any one location. And we just built it all in order. And I'll be danged, man. Like, it looks good regardless. But if you know that we shot it on an iPhone, it gets really good. I think it's really, really neat.
It's one of those ones where I told Brian, like, I started watching this because you sent it to me, and then I finished it because I was enjoying it. I forgot that I was watching it because you sent it to me. So go check it out, folks. It's a good one. Now let's scan the horizon.
Send a scanning to abort.
Scanning the horizon!
Amazon announced a new line of TVs with Fire TV. The Omni QLED series ranges from 50 to 75 inches and starts at $479 for the 50-inch version. There are also upgraded versions of the Amazon 2 and 4 Omni series. Those start at $159. That's because you're the product in this. They're going to sell a bunch of ads to you on these smart TVs, along with picture and performance improvements. So they look better, they're brighter, the processors are faster, so everything's a little snappier. They also have a sensor that can wake up the TV when you walk into the room if you wanted to. They also announced a new Fire TV stick, the Fire TV 4K. It's $40, and it runs a new operating system called the Vega OS. Otherwise, it looks and acts just like the rest of the Fire TV devices, but instead of Android underneath, it's Amazon's own Vega, which it says makes it even faster and better performing. You can order all of these now. The shipping starts in October, and they all get Amazon's new, more capable voice assistant as well.
I would love to know how price sensitive our audience is when it comes to either the stick devices or the TVs. Because you remember when I bought the Fire TV Cube, I kind of like, my deepest fear was an underpowered device. I actively called you saying, what's the most expensive Fire device that I can get? Anyway, cordkillers@gmail.com.
And interestingly, that Fire TV 4K, because of the Vega OS, they say is going to act like a more highly powered device. It's going to act like a bigger device, even though it's just a streaming stick, because they've made it more efficient. We'll see if that turns out to be true in testing and all of that. But yeah, it promises to be a big upgrade. Warner Brothers is the first studio to cross $4 billion at the global box office this year. It's the first time Warner Brothers has made $4 billion in a year since 2019, and the year is not even done. That is in part thanks to movies like Superman and Sinners and F1, which it distributed for Apple, and Minecraft.
That is huge. Wasn't Warner Brothers like really in trouble?
Yeah.
Like they needed Joker 2 to hit and it did not.
No.
That's a major turnaround.
Yeah. They've saved their bacon. Speaking of bacon goes well with beer, and you'll want to drink beer when you watch Netflix shows, because Netflix has signed a deal with Anheuser-Busch InBev to promote beer on The Gentleman and Culinary Class Wars. We don't know which brands, but AB InBev makes Budweiser and Stella and Corona. They pretty much, they make all the beers that aren't Modelo or your local craft brewery.
I'll tell you what, man. Look, I'm not a big fan of the fact that it's a giant monopoly. I'm not a fan that it's essentially a duopoly. I'm not a fan of kind of wedging product placement into stuff, but I'm going to give this my blessing because it means that finally a beer company that isn't Coors, like that makes sure to wedge in their Coors Banquet on your Karate Kid, Yellowstone. Don't think
we might get a
notice.
variety of beers finally on
Yes,
Netflix.
it's kind of like where it's like the ads are all just the same in-house ad. You're like, oh, would you just advertise something different?
There is another beer out there, I swear. CNBC reports that the National Football League might already begin renegotiating its media deal rights as soon as next year when they don't expire until 2030. NFL knows it's got something and it wants to lock it in now before things change. So we'll keep an eye on anything that leaks out of that. But that's kind of interesting to note. NBC programming might disappear from YouTube TV today if they can't reach an agreement. YouTube wants the right to include Peacock in the YouTube TV interface. They don't want to charge their subscribers extra for that. They will pay Peacock for it, but they don't want to send you out to the Peacock app. This is a fight over control of the interface. Peacock wants to suggest things for people to watch. YouTube wants to just let them access their Peacock stuff, and then YouTube will suggest things for them to watch. That is an interesting twist on this ancient war between the platform and the content provider.
Usually it's over like carriage rights or fees or what have you. But in this case, they're literally arguing about remote control, about who gets to hold the remote.
Netflix has the same fight with Apple. If you use an Apple TV, you'll know that most of the streaming services show up in the Apple TV as, oh, you want to watch the next episode of whatever you're watching on HBO Max, Prime Video, etc. Netflix does not, for this exact reason. Netflix wants to be the person that tells you what Netflix has. They don't want to get lost in the Apple TV interface. And that's what YouTube and NBC are fighting over. Speaking of NBC, Comcast has promoted its president, Mike Kavanaugh, to co-CEO. Everybody's doing co-CEOs these days. Netflix
I don't like
co-CEO.
it. You know, the purpose of a
Spotify
freaking CEO is to be the one person who takes responsibility. You know what I don't want? Spreading around your responsibility.
You know what it is? It's a devaluing of the CEO title.
It is.
Because Brian Roberts is sticking around. He's going to be co-CEO, but he's also chairman of the board. So, and Spotify is doing the co-CEO thing, but Daniel Ek is becoming executive chairman. They're still going to all report to him. They're just watering down the CEO title now. But Kavanaugh also joins the board. So I think in Comcast's situation, it's actually a succession plan where Kavanaugh is probably going to be the CEO when Roberts decides to resign. But they want him to start taking on stuff now. I
don't hate it with a succession plan as much.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Le Chatter, or as they say in France, Le Chaté.
Got mail.
John writes, why watch the Roku channel? Toast of London for free. That's
and that,
why.
Ladies and gentlemen, is called checkmate. Well played, sir.
David writes, Tom and Brian, I've been a patron of the show for some time, and I have always really enjoyed your content and think that it's worth paying for. I'm at the $1 per episode level. On one of your latest episodes, you mentioned that you lose 70 cents of the dollar to processing fees. By the way, I said that it's not an exact amount. It's something close to that. That gives you an idea. Anyway, back to David.
Of the first dollar. Of the first dollar.
Of the first dollar. David says, I have been doing the yearly plan on DTNS for a couple of years now. Have you ever thought of bringing that option to Cord Killers? I would think that this would help save some of the fees. And in fact, David, you're absolutely right. Doing the yearly plan or even monthly plans saves on those fees because you can charge everything at once. But Cord Killers charges per episode. So you can't do a yearly plan because we don't know how many episodes there will be in the year. If we were to move off of per episode and go monthly, then we could do a yearly plan.
These all sound like interesting things to consider. For now, let's just get everybody in the on board camp.
Yeah. Or the $2 an episode. If you're worried about it, you can just
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you defray that cost by just giving us double the amount?
Andrew writes, hey, Cord Killers, I was excited to hear how much Brian is enjoying Death Note. It's a really great series that I think can appeal to even those that don't typically watch anime, but it's also a great example of adaptations done both right and less right. In addition to the 2006 anime, there was a pair of live-action Japanese movies, also in 2006, with arguably a better ending than the anime. There's also a third movie that tells an original story about one of the characters that was a fun watch. In 2015, they made a live-action Japanese TV series that made a few small tweaks that were interesting to see play out. Then there was the infamous 2017 American movie adaptation from Netflix. It veered way off from the source material and was not very well received, but still worth a watch for William Dafoe as Ryuk, if nothing else. There was also a decent Japanese sequel movie in 2016, even a 2015 Death Note the musical that I haven't been able to find a way to watch, but I hear is pretty good. I always think of Death Note when you talk about the controversies around adaptations. All in all, I've watched several iterations of Death Note, and anytime a new one is announced, I'm just excited to have an excuse to experience this story again and see what spin they put on it this time. Whether it's good or bad, the original is always going to be there for new people to discover and enjoy, and new adaptations may even drive renewed interest in the original.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, if you don't be too precious about it, there's a lot of joy in just seeing literally anyone riff on anything that you love. And we had talked about this with the Ron Howard movie, the version of The Dark Tower. I described it as like, it's nothing like the book, but imagine you go to the county fair and they take a regular tilt-a-whirl, but they write the gunslinger on it and they write the words The Dark Tower. I'm going to write it because that's cool that somebody loved it enough to paint the side of this tilt-a-whirl.
And you're not going to write it going, you know, they didn't just ride around in circles in the Gunslinger of the book. I think they've changed too much on this tilt-a-whirl.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Although Ka is a wheel.
Yeah, that's true, actually. A very good point. Maurice writes, I haven't seen this covered anywhere, but the app for USA Network is scheduled to go dark today. I use it on the Roku, but others on Reddit have reported various other platforms. The USA Network's going away too, frankly. So I'm not surprised to hear that. NBC would like you to use the NBC app, or more likely, subscribe to Peacock if you want to get that stuff. Also, is the Cord Killers website abandoned? Seems like it is. Keep up the great work, Maurice.
Yeah. Where are we at on the Cord Killers website?
I don't think it's been updated since we did Gargoyles on the full experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there's somebody out there who uses the website as a way to interact with us, then we will give it a once over. But oftentimes the reason things like that kind of stop is because nobody is enjoying them.
Maurice may be the first to say something since last November. I'm just,
Yeah.
Although we probably should have a note up there saying, like the USA Network app, this web is not
degraded.
Yeah. Corey writes, hey, killers, I was just curious. Is there the ability to just watch one football team during the NFL season on one service? I only care about the Packers. My brother would get along with you and his husband. And of course, they are not on just one service. I would like to change that and have one place to go. Is there such a thing? If not, I will continue to listen to the games on the radio when needed. Also, have you had any reports on the Marcus Movie Pass series? My experience was horrible. 95% of the movies at my closest theater were listed as no passes allowed, even after 60 days of running. Is that the hook or just a fluke in my case? Also, Kraven the Hunter was a fabulous movie, better than some of the current run mainstream Marvel movies. Any reason why it got such a bad rap? Thanks for all you do. I hope to be able to fund you guys again soon. Well, thank you, Corey. I haven't seen Kraven the Hunter, so I can't
as a matter
speak
of
to
fact,
that.
Corey is the first person to bring up Kraven the Hunter.
Yes.
And, in this very noisy ecosystem, I sort of wait to hear good or bad, just what people are talking about. So I'm glad that Kraven the Hunter is noteworthy in any way. But in terms of the Movie Pass service, boy, we've covered a lot of Movie Pass experiences over the years. I don't think we've covered the latest.
Your mileage may vary because they are playing by the rules now. So that's probably why your theaters were that way. But also I haven't heard people talking about it. So I don't think it's becoming a thing that people are getting a lot of value at these days. And the only NFL service I know where you can watch all your Packers games are the local broadcast channel.
By the way,
which I don't know if they still black out if they don't sell out, but if we're talking about the Packers, they always sell out. So that probably wouldn't be a problem.
I am certain that individual teams would love it if there was a particular app. I bet the Packers team would love it if you had a Packers app and a Packers streaming service and just follow just Packers. Also get a Packers tattoo.
Because you can do that now for a lot of sports teams. There are basketball teams and hockey teams and baseball teams who say, look, if you live in the market, we will sell you a subscription to just our app that give you all the Arizona Diamondbacks games or all the Minnesota Wild games. But NFL has the rights in lock. The teams don't have those rights, so there are no equivalent services in the NFL. Everything is
these are very, very long-term agreements that they're locked in on.
Like we said, till 2030, and they're starting to renegotiate them now. That is it for this episode of The Cord Killers. You can always find our website at cordkillers.com.
You can gawk at the slowly rotting corpse of our website at cordkillers.com.
Our email address works, cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live on twitch.tv/nightattack and youtube.com/modernrogue Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
So there you go. That's how you do an episode of Cord Killers, right, Amos?
That's it.
That's it. Thanks, everybody. Oh wait, no, we have to wait and do full experience.
For those that are curious, I'll take a minute to describe the Cord Killers website in Aftertalk.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the website and After Talk. That's a good topic for After Topics.
Why it is in the shape it is in, and how it got there, and what we might want to do with it in the future.
Yeah. I will save my thoughts until then. Thank you, Dylan. Brian is making coffee, Willie Scott. This is now well trodden. Yes, he does go to the bathroom, but the majority of the time is spent watching a liquid slowly trickle out.
I'm getting rid of coffee. I was in the bathroom.
What? Willie Scott was right.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I apologize.
I was all full of coffee. We kind of hit the ground running because we started a bit late.
Okay. So you were watching a different liquid trickle out. Got it.
That's right. Well, I mean, at one point it was coffee.
Weren't we all?
That's right.
And at this age, everything trickles.
Yeah. Ask your doctor if Flonase is right for you.
If coffee is right for you, yeah.
All right. Shall we do the full experience then?
Yes, indeed.
Well, let's do it. Here we go. In 3, 2. Welcome to the full experience. This is an experiment in television appreciation. We watch but 4 episodes of a series. We watch its first episode, we watch its last episode, and in between, we watch its highest rated on IMDb and its lowest rated on IMDb to see if we get a sense of what that series was entirely about. We are in the middle of watching Yellowstone. This week, we are watching the lowest rated episode of Yellowstone by IMDb rating, called Desire is All You Need. Season 5, episode 9, which first aired November 10th, 2024. It was sort of a mid-season premiere. They broke season 5 into 2 halves, and this is the return of the second half of season 5, which is the last episode of Yellowstone, or the last season of Yellowstone. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. So one of the best parts about the full experience is kind of trying to puzzle out why an episode was low rated. Sometimes it is a structural thing. For example, I think the first example that we ran across was in The West Wing. There was a fine standalone episode. It was just on a minor character in a format that was kind of un-West Wing-like. Other times it's a clip show, and because it's a retread, people are like, boo. But meanwhile, that's great for the full experience because all those clips bring you up to speed and give you the ability to fake like you watched the show. This is groundbreaking, Tom, because and then other times we see low ratings because they don't pay off like big questions or whatever. But I believe that this is the first time we've encountered a lowest rated show that was so boring. Oh my God, Tom. It was awful. It was miserable. What was that?
This was quite the slow episode. And it's the lowest ranked at 7.0.
I can't believe what is wrong with people that they gave it a 7.0?
I think this episode is an example of an episode that does not work for the full experience because it is almost entirely dependent on other episodes to hit. Well, not to understand. I understood what was happening. It took me a while to wrap my head around, like, really? They got rid of Kevin Costner like halfway through season 5? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a bold move. And I was tying together like, okay, there's a Archbishop of Canterbury thing going on where Jamie said, won't you rid me of my troublesome dad? And she's like, what? You told me to get rid of him. So none of that was lost on me. I wasn't ever confused. But the emotional punch of this is all coming from having built up tension from other episodes I didn't watch.
Well, and on top of that, it felt like, number one, the acting was largely... There was some poor actors. I assume there was a lot of cameos happening.
Wait, what do you think was one of an example of poor acting that you saw?
I'm not entirely sure what it was, Tom, but there was one character who said everything flat. It was very clear that he was being fed his lines. Right before he said every word, he said a bunch of cowboy stuff, and every sentence.
You're talking about the Spurs maker, right?
No. Well, him, yes, but also some other dude. I couldn't.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about then, because
it was the guy who drove down to Texas. I assume. I don't. Tom, what was that whole episode?
I don't know why we had to drive to Texas in real time either. Like,
I didn't like it, Tom.
I loved that we took forever to get to Texas, to the Panhandle. By the way, he didn't even go that deep.
Yeah, it doesn't.
He went
count.
North of Amarillo, and then he just flew the helicopter back to surprise his wife.
And then they were like, "Did you know that there are scorpions in Texas? Watch, here's a guy who gets bit." Drama. Did that salve work? You know, it did. Wow, what a scene. I was riveted, Tom.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat.
And character development.
Especially because it was clear that no one was concerned that he got bit by that scorpion. I'm like, oh, it must be just a run-of-the-mill scorpion then. Things I liked, and the reason I was asking you if you met the guy who made the Spurs, that was Billy Clapper, who is no longer with us. He is well known in that community for his craftsmanship. He made bits and spurs for folks around the world for most of his life. And I was going to get a little up in your grill if that's who you were after, because I'm like, that's how that guy talks in real life. I looked at that. I'm like, that's Bill Posh. Bill Posh ran Posh's Boots in Greenville, Illinois. And I bought boots from him when I was a kid. I wish I still had those boots. Because they were amazing. He made them himself. He also sold other boots as well, but he also made boots. And that's exactly how Bill Posh talked. He said it in a more Southern Illinois accent than a Texas accent, but otherwise it was pretty much the same guy. So I kind of loved that one. But if you're talking about somebody else, then yeah, I'll let you off the hook.
I was talking about the guy who had the ranch that they delivered the cattle to, or the
horses guy,
to.
Yeah. I think what's bothering you about him is he's what Texans sound like to people who don't live in Texas.
I guess, okay.
And you know that people who sound like him don't talk like that. Does that make sense?
So on the surface, Yellowstone, the first 2 episodes that we watched, it worked because it worked at a surface level of gorgeous, incredible cinematography, of classic westward expansion Americana visuals. It's just a treat, and it had all the buttery artifacts of excellent cinematography here. But by God, there was nothing underneath. There was no machinations. There was no grinding of gears that I could only guess how fine the wheels were turning on.
Well, and I think, again,
it was shallow. This
this
so
is the
shallow.
revelation episode of the mystery. All the grinding of gears was earlier. And then I assume episode 8 finished with a shocking death of Kevin Costner's character.
Sure.
Of
and then
Daddy Dutton.
this was them like acknowledging, yes, we're serious.
And this is revealing,
yes,
like,
reals.
this who did it.
Sure.
I don't know. I could be wrong. We might have already
we've-
known who did it the whole time. I can't really tell, but. Yeah.
But we've seen so many other shows where they have something else to chew on while you're processing. So it's like, I understand that they're like, this is the main meal. Yeah. And I understand that none of this means anything to me. But every other show, so many other shows that we've seen, give you something else to kind of do while you're processing the big chunk of the story.
Yeah.
This one, there was nothing there. There was
I wonder-
nothing there. I was insulted.
I wonder if this works better. I'm trying to explain the 7.0. I know this is the lowest rated. I wonder if this works better as a respite for folks. But then that doesn't make sense if this was the comeback episode after a break. You don't need a respite. You're chomping at the bit, right? Amos, save us.
Amos in here.
Two things. One, when I told my wife I was going to watch the lowest rated episode, she knew what episode it was without me having to tell her.
Yeah, okay.
And two, this is the laziest retrofit I've ever seen in a show. They literally came back from commercial, said 6 weeks ago, showed the lady in the meeting, and then just dropped it. Brian's always talking about trust your audience. They didn't trust us at all on this episode. They spoon fed us, and then they played airplane with it for 45 minutes while I sat on my couch and wondered why this episode was so damn long.
I suppose we were supposed to be sad about them selling the cows, but I'm not sure.
But which cows? Like all of them, or just some of them?
I don't know.
Down with 4
whatever
horses
ones
or
they were
whatever.
selling to Texas,
Right,
apparently. Yeah.
There's so much more that's probably here, but they gave us nothing in this episode. This episode was the biggest nothing burger. The only reason it has a 7 is because there's people that love it and aren't going to rate it.
Could
any
just
lower
love
than a 5.
Yellowstone altogether.
Yeah. And the one scene where at the very end where Beth runs out to Rip or whatever the hell his name is, and she
and
breaks
is
down.
entirely out of character for everything I've learned about Beth.
Well, and maybe like that reaction was how she was in the trauma of the first moment, but there was nothing to. It was
also
insufficiently
it was lazy, crappy storytelling.
I also thought the scene where she's when she's doing her like social service, picking up butts and won't stop smoking cigarettes, and that works. And the guy's like, "Why don't we just call it even?" I was like, "Wow,
I thought that was fine. That was the highlight.
That was
of the
super
show.
lazy.
Yep.
Like you didn't convince me at all that would have happened. But okay, I guess Beth's out of her social service now. So I don't even know why you needed her to be out of it. Oh, I guess because she was saying I'll come down to Texas. But you know what would have been more, Beth? I'm coming to Texas. I don't care about my social service. I'll figure that out when I get back. Like,
I'm gonna, have her lead a parade of
screw them. They can come and get me. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, that was again. I think that was just picking up from the prior to the break. They had to, they presented too much in episode 8, I think. And then when they came back to episode 9 after the break, they had to deliver on something, and everything else just fell apart and fell away. The whole going to Texas to take the cattle or the horses or drop a person off or whatever the hell they were doing down there, that just fell away. Beth's social service hours fell away. The whole trusting the audience on how Daddy Dutton got shot, that was just thrown completely out the way. And the only thing they focused on was this reaction Beth had to her father dying, and the whole
and Jamie,
you don't want to see it.
They have a little bit of Jamie being stunned that his lover killed his dad, and
sure,
there is a bit of a murder mystery too, right? The mystery is not who did it. The mystery is how did they pull it off, right?
Well,
how did they make it so convincing?
But this isn't
wondering,
CSI. This is
I know.
in the previously on. Did they show? Was there some big scene that they cliff hung?
There was no
before?
previously on this episode.
Yeah, I didn't get one either. So I guess nobody got one.
I did not.
It was bad, Tom. This is the single most disappointing lowest rated episode that we've seen in the entire history of
and yet Dale Garner gave us 10 pounds and said bibbity bobbity boo. Thank you, Dale.
This is the best full experience we've ever had.
The worst episode to watch, the best episode to produce.
I was worried that song might go longer when they were sitting around the campfire too, but
oof.
I'm so glad they faded away. Just like let the music play a little bit, and then it was only one vert. Oh man, I would have been so angry. I probably would have stopped it.
The one other thing, we've only watched the 3 episodes. Maybe this is a weakness in the full experience, but by my count, we basically got most of the scenes with the reservation folks in episode 1. And the other 2 episodes, we got like one scene with the guy going, "We're gonna keep fighting. Maybe someday we're gonna fight." And I'm just like, that's still going on in season 5. Like we barely got that story.
Although gorgeous shot, great shot,
beautiful shot.
That's a pretty lake that they drove out to, and he's holding the plans, and we're like, we drove out here to look at a lake and say, look at this map.
Someday this map will be important. We promise you.
Yeah.
That today is not that day. Okay. Well, there you go. Yellowstone. We'll be finishing it off next time with the episode Life is a Promise. Season 5, episode 14. This is a longer season too. Most of the seasons were like 9 episodes. This one's 14. So they made sure to tack on an extra 5 episodes for us.
It's 2 seasons. They just
Well, it's not enough for 2 seasons, but it's more than 1 season. So yeah, it's nothing.
If we you could just trim this episode down to make it interesting, and you would have you would have recovered enough to shove it down into 1 season.
Yeah, that's quite possible. We're going to have to start figuring out what to watch after Yellowstone. So by all means, give us your suggestions, cordkillers@gmail.com. You get these episodes earlier if you're a patron as well. They get posted as soon as Amos is done editing them up. So become a patron at patreon.com/cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time. That is going to be all.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody who watched live.
Bye, everybody.
Cordkillers@gmail.com, patreon.com/cordkillers.